Hello everyone, welcome to the Product Marketing Show. I'm your host Trish, and today we're going to talk about something really interesting. Are product marketers content marketers, or are content marketers product marketers, and probably where do they meet? So today with me I have Inbar Yagur, head of content and product marketing at Lusha. So I would say she's worn both hats and probably the best person to answer this question. Inbar, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me, Rish. Happy to be here.
Inbar, can you take us to your background? How did you, which one did you pick first, and what do you like more?
Before we jump in there, brief give a shout out to our sponsors, Content Beta, a full stack creative team on subscription for software companies. Create product marketing projects today and get delivery tomorrow.
I actually don't think I can pick between the two of them, honestly. So here's the interesting thing. I come from a content background, but my marketing career actually started mostly in product marketing. So like I've got I joke that it's the lowest ROI degree in history. I have a Master of Fine Arts in film directing from the American Film Institute Conservatory. And at some point in my late 20s, I realized that if I wanted, like, that being a director means I have to be a megalomaniac and have really thick skin. I don't have either of those qualities. And so I kind of decided to get away from that. And I got into marketing as a freelancer to start. I was doing a lot of, like, website optimization in terms of texts and stuff. But my first, like, real marketing job was basically a product marketing job before anybody knew what product marketing was, at a company called Taboola, which I think a lot of people know these days, but at the time there were 80 people there, and I was brought in to kind of dissect and figure out how the product works best. It's those you may like recommendations that people get at the bottom of articles. At the time, that was a very new thing, and so I came in to kind of just figure it out from a product marketing perspective, do market education, best practices, and that kind of thing. And so for 5 years, I was doing a lot of that. But here's the thing: Taboola is about native content. So again, content and product marketing met all the time because I would educate other marketers about how to do great content for Taboola. So it's always been kind of a mishmash with me. And then in the last 5 years, I've been a marketing executive. Before Lusha, I was a VP marketing at a couple of early stage startups, and there I ran both of those functions. And so I really do think that they're one and the same in a lot of ways. Yes, there are kind of different disciplines in each, and you can kind of go down to the nitty gritty. But at the end of the day, a very similar skill set.
You seem to have a natural advantage, right? Because you've studied filmmaking, storytelling, and in some way, product marketing is also telling a story about your product.
Exactly.
What are the intersections? So for today's software businesses, right, or internet businesses, where is the intersection between product marketing and content marketing?
So here's the thing. Like you just mentioned it. You said it perfectly. Product marketing is storytelling. Content marketing is storytelling. Okay, so I never, when I coach my product marketing team, we always talk about what's in it for the user. What is the value for the user? How is the user the hero of our story, right? Put yourself in the shoes of the user and understand how they meet the product and what they get out of it, what is in it for them. And so I think product marketing puts the user first, and I think content marketing also puts the user first, in that it might not always be in the shoes of the user, but it always is about telling a compelling story to the user, and it's always about giving value to the user. I don't believe in fluff content marketing. I think that if you're not giving practical value to the person on the other end, you shouldn't be asking for their attention. And by the way, that goes throughout anything that we create as a content marketing team, even as like blog posts that are very like operational SEO. I don't believe in SEO for the purpose of SEO. Like there is not a single article or blog post that my team puts out, even if it's an SEO even if it's something that's done specifically with the end goal of getting search engine traffic. There still needs to be value there. Like if you're not teaching the user something, if you're not giving them something that they connect to, relate to emotionally, you're not doing your job. And content marketing may do it in long form and in different mediums. Product marketing does it in different mediums, but at the end of it, it's one of the same, giving them value and telling them what's in it for them. and putting them first.
When I see other org charts, so I normally see the VP marketing and VP within the marketing leader function. There will be a content function, brand function, demand function, and probably product marketing function. So it appears to me that content marketing and product marketing are separate silos within marketing. How can they collaborate? I mean, what are the best ways? I mean, because content marketing might have different goals, while product marketing is involved with product launches and probably even some part of product adoption. So any examples you can share where they could work together and where they couldn't?
So first of all, by the way, that's not always true around the division of product marketing and content marketing. I know a lot of VP product marketing that actually have content marketing under them. My content marketing lead, who I just brought in, his previous job, he was also the content marketing lead, and he reported into VP product marketing. So it actually is becoming more and more common because there's so much overlap, right? And I do feel like it can really easily get siloed, and I'll be honest. I believe in transparency, and we're still having some of that problem on our team right now. Like, the content marketing team we're building a content marketing machine basically from scratch at Lusha right now, and so they're kind of in their own thing, doing their thing, and then the product marketing team has been more established at Lusha, and so they're already in like a cadence, and figuring out a way to mesh them together and kind of break down those silos has been very challenging for me, especially because my content marketing team is in Boston and my product marketing team is in Tel Aviv. And so I'm literally now kind of figuring out how do we mesh better, how do we break down our silos, and how do we figure out better how to work in collaboration and make things flow. The biggest challenges are on workflows, like when does the subject matter expert step in, and when does a content marketer step in to make sure that it's being told well, and we've still got friction there that's not fully worked out. And I think one of the things that we hope to make work better is just create a better process around it. What we're doing also now is this is a little in the weeds HRE, but hopefully it makes sense. We're doing a RACI framework, which is responsible, accountable, consulted, informed. So instead of doing, this person is responsible for X and this person is responsible for Y, we take big picture initiatives and say who's the person who's getting measured on it, who's the person who's the project manager on it, who's the person who needs an absolute say on it, right? And in a lot of ways, the product marketing initiatives, it gets kind of overlapped. So for example, if it's a one-pager, then my product marketer is going to be responsible, accountable for that. And content marketing is going to just be consulted about it and just kind of give their take. If it's a blog post, then actually the product marketing manager might say, hey, I need this, but the person who's actually responsible for it is the content marketing arm. And so it really does need to, there's two things that really need to happen. A is very clear setting of who touches what when. Two is who owns what in what situation. And three, and this is something that you can't put an HR process into, is just really good communication and collaboration, like openness and listening to feedback and receiving feedback well, and that can sometimes be really, really hard, especially with teams that are kind of getting built. But I think that is, if the teams trust each other and give value to each other, it's like anything else in life. If what's in it for the other side, Yeah.
I think the way you've described is pretty much like how product marketing teams work with the product team, right? I mean, that same level of collaboration you got to have with the content marketing team, because that's like your right arm.
Exactly.
Now I want to deep dive on something which is very specific, which is product launch or product release, right? Mm-hmm. How do you, probably even from past experience, how do you shift roles, or how do you assign roles? What does a product marketer do, or what does a content marketer do in this scenario?
Okay, so if we're doing a product launch, then the owner of that is clearly the product marketing manager, right? And so with us, the way it kind of works is the product marketing manager works very, very closely with product to kind of understand what it is, what the need is, defining all the persona, the messaging, the positioning, doing the competitive analysis. Then and then kind of aligns with sales. The product marketing manager needs to fully understand what it is that they're doing and how they're bringing it to market. And then what we do from that point is there's a launch timeline, and we do a kickoff call, which establishes the launch, and kind of we have a discussion about what are the components of the launch. Are we doing PR? Are we doing, are we doing any paid promotion? Are we doing a webinar to support it? Like what are the components that are going to happen within that launch from a marketing perspective? And we usually also have a discussion about the messaging and positioning and make sure that everybody kind of is aligned and like are happy with the message and happy with the way that we're packaging it. And then from my perspective, it's the PMM's job to push that forward, right? So content marketing supports it by getting, SEO content with the right keywords and doing, hype posts and thought leadership around it. And when it goes out there, then they support it by creating like the announcement blog post and putting it in the newsletter, right? But at the end of the day, the person who is accountable, right? And again, in that RACI format, the person who's accountable for that launch is the product marketing manager. Everybody else in that case are more service providers. And I think that's the right way to go because, the product marketing manager needs to own the messaging and own how it comes to the market. And so they might not be hands-on in everything that they do, but they need to make sure that everything is done aligned with the vision and the messaging that, was decided upon.
Pretty clean. And how do you put metrics? So how would you put success metrics for product marketing manager? How would you put success metrics for a content marketing lead?
So great question, which we're actually grappling with right now, right? So like I mentioned, we're a relatively new team. Most of my team has only been at has been at Lusha for less than 6 months.
So probably even outside Lusha, I mean, what in the ideal scenario, how would you think about it?
So, but what I'm saying is like the plus of like building something from scratch is it gets you to kind of open it up and saying, well, okay, well, how do we want to think about it? Like, is the way that we've done it before, is that the right way? So I think that one of the biggest challenges, especially content marketing, is easier to measure, right? If you've got a good attribution model and touch points across the buyer journey, then you can say, it's helping us drive organic traffic to the site. It's helping us, rank for keywords. It's helping us move people down the funnel in their buyer journey. It helps, it helps sales communicate and start have conversation starters with prospects. There's a lot of different things that content marketing does that is actually way more measurable than product marketing, because product marketing relies a lot of times on other people's actions in order to work, right? So if you're doing sales enablement within product marketing, you're still relying on the salesperson to properly pitch your product, right? If you're doing something that requires the paid campaigns to support it in some way, shape, or form. It could be that the brand team or the design team did do something 100% right, and so we're really, really trying to figure out how do we define success. And so, for me, I do look at how many people how is this product being sold effectively? Is this product successful? Right. So, we've had product launches where the thing didn't stick and the pitch didn't work, and that's everybody's fault, right? That's not just product marketing's fault, but in a lot of ways, product marketing comes in and fixes that sometimes, right? Because we've got kind of an outside view and kind of help fix it. But from on the other hand, right? If something is resonating and is getting pitched properly and we're seeing traction, then we see that as success. Beyond that, all we can really do is, rely on things like HighSpot, which is a content management system, which lets us see how many people actually opened one sheet or, opened, or sent out a specific pager that we created. And we've got, Wingman for conversational intelligence, and we can go in and look for keywords and understand, how effectively these things are getting pitched. And so it's a combination of like how many people use our materials, right? How do they engage with it? And if the product is being sold successfully, which we know we're not the only ones there. And then if we look at top funnel, on Lusha's site, the product marketing manager is responsible for their area of expertise. And so that's kind of an easier one, right? When you're looking at top funnel, it's easier to measure. So did the page that you created, is it driving a lot of demo requests? Is it driving a lot of signups? Is it giving, is it bringing business results in the way that we imagined compared to benchmarks of other things that we've done before?
Nice. Let's talk more about content marketing side. So what trends do you see? I'll tell you what we see, right? I mean, one is Google coming up with new updates, and probably with this new Bard search results in the top of the search results, and then the ads, and then the map result, and then probably the organically ranking one page, right? What do you see content marketing going in this new era of how Google is trying to change search engines, and how dark social is going to work?
Yeah, I mean, you're seeing me sigh because it's like let's take another 3 hours to talk about it. It's very so I actually in my previous job, I brought a generative AI tool called AnyWord to market right when GPT-3 was coming out, and so we were using OpenAI's API before everybody knew about OpenAI's API, and you know, even then there were a lot of limitations, and you know, if we look at what the leap that generative AI has made over the last couple years, the leap is more, I think, in the reading than in the writing, right? So I see Chat GPT as an example is the most effective when you're collaborating with it, right? If you give Chat GPT a prompt to write you an article, it's gonna spit out the most generic things, and the things that, like, so tell me about conversion rate optimization. What ChatGPT is going to do is going to search the most common things people say about conversion rate optimization, put that in an article, right? And it's not going to be original, and it's not going to be useful because it's by nature using other people's ideas. Okay, and Bard is the same thing. I mean, it's kind of the same kind of, the same issue. Now, I don't think that Google quite yet knows what's going to happen. I mean, they're experimenting. Sometimes you see Bard results, sometimes you don't. Sometimes you see paid results, sometimes you don't. And so I'm kind of in a wait and see motion around this right now. I think it's important for us as a content marketing team to keep an eye on it, and make sure that we are on top of what the trends are and what the updates are that Google bring in. But Google still is looking for value in terms of how they rank. And so, like I said, right, if you give ChatGPT a prompt, it will spit out the most generic amalgamation of common wisdom. And so right now, what we're trying to do is not go to the into the race to the bottom, right? There's thousands of bad actors, or not even bad actors, like people well-meaning who might not know who are just pouring junk into the internet right now. Pouring thousands and thousands or hundreds of thousands of AI generated articles that are just repeating the same thing. And people aren't stupid. It's really kind of easy. If you're relatively, if you've got even like a modicum of marketing experience, or a bit of experience in your field, and you're reading up on something in your field, it's really easy to know whether something is insightful and is giving you value or not. And honestly, I'm pretty sure that as people, it's easy for us to tell sometimes when ChatGPT kind of spit out something on their own, because it's usually boring, not valuable, generic, sometimes factually wrong. And so where I challenge my team, and my head of content is a strong believer in this. Insights that come from people should be the core of everything that we create. Because the original thought comes from the human and not from the bot. The bot is a regurgitation of thoughts that have already been shared. And so when we build out a content marketing strategy, we look at where can we get insights and original insights. And that's worked for us really well. We've got really, really great growth, organic growth on our blog, because we're working in that way. And will that change? Maybe, but I don't want to be one of those people who are just putting on, let's stick 80 blog posts on my site a day and see if Google, indexes us better. I don't think that that's the right way to go. It's just not, yeah.
one of the challenges we face as a company is the problem of attribution due to dark social, right? So whenever we create a resource and we put it up online on social media, and social media people frown upon using UTM links, right? So you put up like naked links. Now, how do you attribute that if this is the right thing to do, or how do you measure success with something like this? Or probably you just take a leap of faith that, hey, if this is valuable, people will come to me.
Okay, here, first of all, I don't know what social media managers are frown upon UTMs, but it's against their interest to frown upon UTMs. You want to be measured. If you're putting something up and you know, that's your way of getting counted. Like, why not put in UTMs? My social media, like, we put UTMs on our social media. Like, you know, you can shorten URLs. It's fine, you know. And so I don't necessarily agree with like the paradigm of we don't put UTMs. That being said, people share and reshare and copy paste links, and obviously there's a component here of people, like, for instance, you know, you're seeing something on TikTok and then you come in and just type the URL in. Like, there's a lot of that, right? And I don't think there's ever going to be a really good answer for that. Some people are like, some people say, oh, let's just, you know, count direct traffic, or let's, you know, count brand searches as a shadow metric, or you know, there's a gazillion different ways of looking at it. I don't think any of them are right. I think that the only really way to look at it is, if you haven't done something before and you start doing it now, and you're seeing incremental growth in your metrics, then you know it has an effect. And you can use soft metrics as a proxy, right? So you can use views, you can use shares as a proxy to see if something is resonating. And even if you don't have an exact UTM to link back to it, like, yeah, it's never going to be perfect, and there's not going to be an exact science to it. But if you've just started doing something you didn't do before, and you're seeing incremental growth, then it's working. It's simplistic and stupid to say it, right? But like, for us, we look at direct traffic to the site. We look at how many people searched for Lusha on Google, right? And you can always see, if you've got, like, if you're doing a big push on social, you're going to see that metric go up, right?
I'm going to clip this answer of yours, because it's the most commonly asked questions on all communities, all Facebook groups, Slack communities. So before we close this, if people would like to get in touch with you, learn more about you and how you help, what's the best way?
I'm not great on the socials, but I do love LinkedIn. So if you search for me on LinkedIn, you spell my name like in the bar without the Inbar. And just look for me there, follow me there. I think that's mostly where I put, like, at least a little bit of work in.
Really good. Thank you so much for taking our time. Really appreciated it, Inbar.
Happy to, Rish. Thanks for having me.